Now, I would like to share my experience of being a Puerto Rican student getting a degree in North America. Remember, it's just my experience and my interpretation of my experience. Number one, do not judge a student intelligence based on language skill. Many people, including professors, because of my language skill, accent, pronunciation, among other things, told me, hey, what are you doing here? Go back and study at your country. I was being judged because my language skills, not because of my intelligence. Never judge the intelligence of a student based on his or her language skill. Create a relationship with the new student, and this would help him or her to demonstrate its other skills. Number two, do not limit a student to a group. In other words, don't force people into boxes. Many times, professors told me, hey, you are limited to this. This is your limit. This is your box. They try to put me in two boxes. Box number one, you are a Latino, so you will speak for that particular group. Box number two, you are a Pentecostal, so you will speak to that particular group. Because a student is from a particular country or is part of a particular denomination, that doesn't mean that he or she cannot teach other people groups or Christian denomination. In God's story, everyone's story is important and has value. They can also teach you, and you can learn something from them, even though they are not part of the same denomination or the same people group that you are. So, do not limit your student to a particular racial, ethnic, economic, or social group. Number three, this is more practical. Provide examples that make sense to them. One of the biggest struggles that I had when I came here to United States, and I still have in classroom context, is the examples that professors gave to clarify certain ideas and concepts or topics. Sometimes the example is more difficult to understand for me than the concept or idea that he is trying to explain. Many times I found myself researching the example provided by the professor. Try to provide examples that are more universal and less local, especially if you are teaching cross-culturally. Not everyone around the world watches American football. Number four, respect the ministerial experiences of your students. Many Puerto Ricans, since they are young, we are working in a ministry of the church. And sometimes when they come to a seminary, they already have years of experiences working in local church. But sometimes, and this happened to me too, professors did not value those experiences because I didn't have formal education. Let me tell you something. Sometimes in the Latino context, ministerial experience is more valuable than theological formation. Theology and local church cannot be divorced. Theology is born out of mission praxis. In many places, like I said, ministerial experience is more important than formal education. In my opinion, the international students are aware of their challenges and they are working to overcome them. I would like for you to remember two things when teaching cross-culturally or when you have someone from other culture in your classroom setting or in your local church context. Number one, know the students. For Latinos and Latinas, our learning experience is based on relationships. It's not only providing us some type of information. We are going to accept your information if we trust you, if we know you, and you know us. Take time in or outside the classroom to know the student. Number two, encourage your student. For the Latinos and Latinas, the professor figure is very respected in our context. If a professor provides a positive feedback, that will change our life drastically. I remember the first professor that told me, hey, you can't do a PhD. You are a PhD material. He encouraged me to pursue a doctoral studies. And because of him, now I'm doing my PhD. In conclusion, remember that what I share is my experience with theological education. It might not represent the experience of all the Latinos and Latinas in the United States. Thank you for your time. Dios te bendiga.